Okay, welcome everyone to Toku podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
Rye, and just us. So, Zero, work's been keeping you from being able to make a lot of the Rider podcasts lately. Uh, I need to ask, what's your opinion on Waz, the time traveler from the future with the book that keeps preaching about Omazio?
Originally I thought he was cool. Like in episode one, when he reads a little further ahead, I was like, oh, that's cool. But like now it's just a running gimmick that's kind of lame. Um, as for like him showing up in like the regular episodes, I'm like, okay, unless he turns out to be like the villain. Well, there's two ways. Like either he's gonna be like the big bad villain or like mid-season guy, or he's gonna be like the villain who's like just trying to keep stuff going, so sort of like Bishop, right,
Or,
from Kiva. Like if he turns out to be that, I'm gonna be okay with it. Or he becomes like Heart or something and becomes like a good guy, like,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
or yeah, I'm like, those three options, good. If he's just some generic guy who keeps showing up, that's gonna be super lame.
I think he. It seems like Omazio may have sent him back in time to, like, breed his past self into becoming Omazio. So I would totally be fine if, like, even if Sogo doesn't become the Demon King, like, Waz still supports his decision just out of loyalty to him. But I could also see him trying to, like, he's the real Omazio and he's just breeding Sogo to get the power for himself.
Yeah, I could see that. Both of those would be interesting. Like, as long as they go somewhere with that guy instead of just having him around, right? Like, because he has potential, but then again, like we saw like build where characters had a lot of potential and they went nowhere.
Oh, we're going through the
Like,
same thing in Sentai right now. Uh, the
uh,
character.
one sec.
Oh,
Stream. Okay,
oh,
no, my video player was just lagging. It's fine.
yeah,
Go
but we
ahead.
do have a lot of drop frames, so I wouldn't be surprised if we go down. Uh, see if I close
Yeah,
a
so
couple
you're
tabs
saying
there.
Sentai
Oh yeah, so
something.
there's a character in Sentai who gave the thieves their powers, and he's kind of like their boss. And we've been speculating all year that he's actually a villain, but he's because sometimes he acts a little sketchy, but that's it. And there's no real evidence, and he doesn't do anything.
We're what, like 2/3 of the way through the show now?
3/5. We just hit episode
Yeah,
34, so we've got like what 11 to 12 more episodes on average.
yeah, I know. Like if it hits 40 and there's nothing, it's like now you have a problem. Um, like I haven't watched the show, so I can't really say how good or bad it is. But like if you're pointing it out, it can't be super well. Then I guess.
Uh, well, like my personal theory was that he was the female general on the Ganglar team, but it seems like that's not going to be the case based on what the next episode preview was.
Yeah, I mean,
So long as they do
okay,
something with
yeah,
him, though,
we'll back
like,
up.
because like he's been acting pretty sketchy lately, so I want something to be there rather than he's just been there, like you were saying about Waz.
Yeah, we should probably get to Ryder. Like that seems interesting, but like yeah, as you said, like preview might this. They might be two different characters. Also, like we keep like pausing and then restarting. Like it hasn't stopped. It's just the stream freezes up, so it could just be on my end. But yeah, let's just there we go
All right.
again.
So uh, now I wanted to ask your opinion about.
Just
Hmm?
hold up. Okay, go.
Okay. The Time Jackers, the villains. How do you feel about them?
Uh, I don't know. I like the first one I saw. He's such a weirdo, and I'm like, okay, you're cool because you're just like random weirdo villain. I'm like,
He
it's fine as
kind of
long as you
reminds
have
me of
fun with
Gremlin.
it. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like a better version of Gremlin. Um, whereas like Sora was always kind of written to be like that. It's just like his actor couldn't didn't have that range. Stream, what is wrong with you?
And part of it is on my end. We
Seems
have a ton of dropped frames, and I'm not sure how to fix that. Oh, I probably should reset my computer before this. Sorry, folks. But all
okay.
right. Uh,
Yeah, and then I just refreshed the page and my preview is gone. Uh,
well, great.
well, I mean,
We're still
I'm
live.
I'm just yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna use the public view. Hopefully, yeah. I mean, it hasn't said we've stopped, so whatever. Let's just keep going, I guess. Anyway, um, right, like the second one, I don't know. She just exists. Like I can't tell what her personality is from because I haven't seen episode four, so I don't really know what her deal is.
Right
She seems
now, she
like
just comes off as like she's the antagonistic one, where like she's rude even to her own teammates.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like she doesn't have like a gimmick because like the first one is the third one is more of like probably the dude
The
who actually knows what the fuck's actually going on and more of the evil scientist.
Sorry. Uh,
Yeah.
the
Uh,
like
evil.
yeah, he seems like the boss of the group.
Right. Like at least I can get personality off those two. Like I can't tell what her deal is. The second one because like okay, yeah, she's a little, no nonsense and like she doesn't get along super well with the others, but it's like that doesn't mean anything. There's no character there, you know? That just means like she doesn't like the other guys. So I can't really tell. What is going on with this stream? Anyway, yeah, let's just get on with this episode
All right.
before like it crashes and burns because
So
we have no backup audio.
you didn't see the last episode, so the takeaway you need to understand this scene is that Sukuyomi and Gaze don't trust Sugo, but they're going to keep an eye on him. And Sugo basically told them, if it really looks like I'm straying to the Demon King path, go ahead and end me.
I mean, that's cool and all, but like he's the main writer. Like unless okay, this is literally there's two options. This is gonna be the what it looks like, which is like we're doing Ryuki again, where it's like Len clearly wants to take out Shinji, but that's not gonna happen. So either we're just gonna play out like Ryuki and nothing happens, or we're gonna build up to that decade ending that should have been there. Um,
It's
and
probably
then
gonna be more like Ryuki, but I would love it to be more of the decade ending that should have been.
yeah, you know what the best part would that be is like if that happens like midway through the show, and then like Gates taking out like Zi-O causes like another writer version of Zi-O to show up, and that's Omazu or
Oh,
something.
that'd be
But,
cool.
yeah,
That would be great,
and it's oh,
actually. Uh, it's one thing for Zi-O to say, "Oh, if I'm really turning evil, go ahead and kill me." It's another thing for him to experience it, though. So I feel like they need to come back to it just to show his reaction in the moment. Like, is he really willing to go through with something like that?
Yeah, I mean that would be interesting. Freezing again. Whatever. I mean, it says we're still streaming. It's just
Yeah,
this preview is
we're not down.
frozen.
I think it's just gonna like be a little weird. I think it's good. Uh, so
Come on.
so the three characters sneak
There we go.
into Forze's high school to look for another rider, and here it gets pointed out to the viewers that didn't already figure it out that the Another Riders all target specific groups of people. Why the Another build was targeting athletes is never really explained, but he was. And now these people are all. This one is targeting 18-year-old girls who are Libras. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that's weird.
Does,
Um,
well,
I'm like, did fucking Gremlin
what's her face from Fies? Like, was she an 18 year
Mari?
old? Yeah, was she an 18-year-old Libra?
Oh shit.
I'm
I
because that's what I'm wondering
don't
if
think
it
so.
ties
No,
into that.
that would be hilarious. But the thing is, like, Slice is weird because, like, uh, fucking hell, I don't remember numbers. Jesus, who's who's Fi's like character name?
Takumi.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking it's Takumi, but I'm like,
That
maybe
was
it's wrong.
also
But like,
like Build's devil
build,
scientist
yeah,
name.
yeah, that's so. I'm like, it's messing me up. Yeah, so Takumi and Kisaka
Kusaka.
were older because like Kisaka is in high school or university? No, high school. Um, Kaido was in university. Um, oh fuck, I don't remember. Yui or
Yui
no,
was
I don't
high
remember the
school.
name. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was
Or
thinking.
no,
She was
wait.
high school.
Not you. Okay, Yui is actually the girl from Ryuki.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking.
Like the this sucks. I don't remember her name. Like, okay, so there's Kiba and there's Kaito, and then the female member of that group. Like, she was in high school, right? And I think like Mari's supposed to be 16 at the start of Five.
Uh,
Yeah, because like all of like Kisaka's like orphanage group is like around high school age, I think. Yeah, like they're like late high school, like they're in high school or like late high school. So yeah, I don't think she was 18. I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh, it's like Kisaka. I mean, the whole like targeting is just the Mari thing. That's what I thought too at first, but I'm like, it doesn't quite fall into place. Um.
Yuka.
Anyway, yeah.
Yuka. That was
Oh,
her name.
Yuka. Yeah. It's been so
So
long.
close. Uh, Mari, do we
Yeah.
have an age
So
on
the thing
her?
is, like, they're targeting Libras, and then I'm like, okay, is this like a oh, and then it cuts to like Tanjacker number three, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this experiment." Oh, actually, no. It cuts back to some random person, right? And it's like they're trying to do something with another person who's on the bed, who's clearly the girl who we're trying to save in this episode because it's the same fucking room, just shot
Right.
from the other side. Um, right, and then he's like, my power's not working, and then he goes out, and then like time jacker number three like gives him, turns him into another Forze. Um, like this is weird, man. I mean, like, what did you think of all this? Because like At first, I'm like, that's an interesting take on like time jacking number three because he's like, it doesn't fucking matter if you say yes or no, right? Like, I'm gonna do this thing anyway, pretty much.
It shows a more assertive nature to him than the other two have. He's more so trying to get shit done than they are. It feels like. Uh, eh, they're still like doing their jobs, but he's just like not. He's cutting out the middleman basically. Like, I'm not offering you a deal here. I'm giving you one.
Yeah. Also, like, the stupid stream is frozen. Um. Okay, now we're back. Yeah. So as you were saying, like, yeah, he isn't giving them a deal. He's just straight up like, here you go. You're gonna do what I say, right? Which is interesting. The other thing is like the victim's like, yeah, it's fine. I need more power anyway.
Also,
And
who
then I'm like,
is this
whoa,
guy?
yeah, that's what I was thinking
So
too. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? You go.
it seems like they make some nods to the like future Kamen Rider Club kids that had special powers from the Forza Wizard movie, but then it ends there because no one has powers except this one guy that isn't part of that group.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, yeah, that's what your mind went to. I didn't even think of that, but that is a good point. What I thought of was like, okay, so he has weird like lightning-ish powers. So I'm like, okay, is this like some weird Agito thing? So we're setting up Forze, Fize, and Agito in one episode
Nah, this probably isn't an
because like,
Agito thing.
yeah, yeah, I know, but and then like, I mean, if they did, it would have been amazing. But it's
Well,
not.
what are they
It's
gonna
like
do with
trailer,
Agito
I'm like,
though? Another Agito?
no. Yeah, that same. Look, eventually we're gonna have to get to another Agito, because it's gonna be another Gills.
Uh,
Horrible. Like the point is, okay, or they'll do the Forze thing and we're not even gonna address it because like clearly Forze's actor wasn't there, right?
if
Most
you
likely,
right, look,
unless he's gonna show up next episode. But I don't think so
it's
because they
I
have the
don't think
Five
it's
guys.
going to. What I think happened was that the filming for this episode probably lines up with the filming for the Bleach movie.
Oh, he's in the Bleach movie. That's
Yeah.
cool. Who's he playing?
So is I believe he's Ichigo, and then Meteor is
Nice.
one of the other characters, and then the girl is
Oh
another.
my god,
No,
that's good.
yeah, Narishiko is another character. Like half of the Forze cast is the Bleach movie.
Oh my god. You know what the saddest part is? That would have made Bleach so much better if the high school shit was Forze. And like, I'm not even a huge Forze fan, but oh my
Uh,
god, that would have been so awesome. Um, yeah, that's weird. Actually, originally Bleach was kind of gonna do this like weird Yu Yu Hakusho thing, but then like the Soul Reaper shit kicked in so hard that like it derailed any of the human stuff.
uh,
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Now we're
okay,
pause
so
again. God damn this. Wait.
okay,
Um,
so during the actual like investigate the school thing, it's not really interesting. Other than the scene where Sogo throws himself down a flight of stairs to distract a nurse, that's
yeah,
commitment.
at first I'm like, did you do something stupid and Gates moved out of the way?
No,
But
like
then
when he
like
did
you
that, I knew what was
plunge.
happening.
No, I know. As soon as he like fell down the second step, I'm like, okay, I got it. Like
It's like he's
they would
hurting
not commit to
himself.
this bit. I'm like, holy shit, you fucking maniac.
The
I mean,
stupid
I don't
part.
know. Maybe it's his party trick. And you're like, that's a stupid party trick. But I'm like, you realize that the Prime Minister of Canada's party trick is falling down the stairs and pretending to hurt himself. Um, I, no, it's hilarious. But the thing is, like, right, so he's the son of another Prime Minister, which means, like, basically all of his
Oh,
adult life at some point or another is on
People are
some
like, gotta
version of
keep
video.
himself, can't get him, let him get hurt.
Yeah, no. So the thing is, like, I guess like he did some weird interview video thing, and he was talking about like his like he has this one party trick thing, and then it cuts to him doing it in the video, and it's like the camera is down on stairs, and it's like you just see him like fall down like 10 stairs, and you're like, holy shit, he's fucked up. And he gets up, it's like, oh no, it's fine, that's my trick. I'm like, what? So yeah, there is some random interview video or something he did like I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago or something, where he did this stupid trick. Um, yeah, so
Uh,
that's random.
and then we get
Um,
the fight scene, the initial fight scene. And so I'm going to speak mostly on King's behalf here, but because she was the one that brought this up to me, but it was established that you cannot defeat an another rider unless you're using that rider's power, which kind of defeats the purpose of the fight scenes before they get that power. Like, here we get, oh, Gaze uses the build form, and it's really cool, and he does the finisher properly, which I appreciate that difference between Sugo always messing it up. But in the end, they cannot defeat another Forze because they don't have Forze's power yet. And that's just like a set
and
rule that the show established.
yeah, we're lagging. Um, I mean the stream's still up. It's just there's oh there we go. Yeah, that is a weird thing, but it's this bad habit that Toei has. Like every Rider episode has to have two fights, regardless of how stupid it is.
Like,
Anyway, yeah,
the
going back to sorry, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say the fight scene is beautiful, and it's very good, well choreographed. The problem is that, technically speaking, it's a little pointless because, well, it's not entirely pointless. It's just they can't defeat the enemy, and you know this as opposed to just knowing that they're not going to for the episode. You know that they physically cannot do it, and there's the distinct difference. Now the only reason they're doing it is like, well, they're not just gonna stand around and do nothing. Slash, we need some eye candy.
I mean, technically, it led to them meeting the kids from the Kamen Rider Club. I guess that fight had that purpose, but yeah, you're right. It's weird. Uh, anyway, going back to this like person who's another Forze, right? So yeah, at first when he did his thing, I'm like, oh shit, are we doing like Agito? Because I didn't realize we are getting the Feist thing this episode. So I'm like, oh shit, are we doing like he was like one of the people who awakened as Agito, and now he's just a psychic and his powers are failing because that tends to happen sometimes. Um, because you get powers and then your powers fade and then you reactivate as Agito. You know, if you can use all the forms. Um, yeah, I thought that was gonna happen, but it didn't. And then he goes and it's like, oh, um, I need power. I'm like, okay, is this some like weirdo plot line because we've got this Libra thing going on from not Five, Forze, because I haven't seen Forze, right? And then like fucking Kusaka shows up and I'm like, oh my god. All right. Was this some random Fives thing where like he's one of the orphanage children thing going on? But then I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because you need to wear the Delta suit to have the
Right.
weird like hand energy triangle thing going on.
Like,
Um,
Kusaka's appearance was a curveball. When when I saw that, like, oh, they're doing a Forze Fives episode, I thought they were going to play off of Takumi is like a lone wolf and he doesn't have any friends, and Gentaro is everyone's friend, so he's not going to accept that. But then that was before we found out that, like, Gentaro's actor couldn't even be here to film more than a few seconds and do one voice line.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that was interesting. To be honest, the episode was going like okay ish. and like Kusaka showed up, I was so hyped. I have no idea why. Well, I know why because like I actually like Kusaka. Um, so like
He's
a lot
a
of people don't like Kusaka because like he's a bad guy
well,
writer
he's
pretty
a
much. I mean
great
like
bad
he's
guy though. Like
I
that's
know. I mean he's not even a bad guy. He's basically the best anti-hero Kamen Rider.
like yeah, you
And the
hate
thing is
his
because like
character because he's an asshole, but that's why like he's a good character. Like he does his role perfectly.
yeah, I know. And the other thing too is like he never becomes like too villainous where it's like it's never that like Ixa Frog Fengar situation where it's like he just like outright kills like a like he never becomes like a fanatic and just like takes out any orphanage. Like he hates orphanages, but he doesn't like just start murdering anyone, right?
Right.
Um, and to be honest, like the only real reason like he he's like an anti-hero in the show is because like okay, he has this huge thing for Mari, and Mari kind of has a crush on like Takumi, sort of,
Yeah, it
as the show
was
goes on.
suggested,
Yeah,
especially in
pretty
Paradise
much, and
Lost.
pretty much right. Um, I mean, and so like the whole reason he's an asshole to like the main cast is because like the main cast is in his way.
Like
Uh, because like he's okay with like the rest of the kids from the orphanage. He's okay with Mari. He likes them. He likes her. He doesn't like Kiba because like he thinks like Mari likes Kiba, or Mari likes like Takumi,
yeah, the
right?
worst
And like
thing
those are like the two main characters of the show, and like he doesn't like either of them,
the worst
and
thing
so like he
Kusaka
comes off
did
as some bad.
was like push the drama between Kiba and Fies further by telling Kiba straight up like, "Oh, you can't trust that Fies guy. Like, nah, he's evil. He'll kill you on the spot."
To be fair, like that is he did that, but like strategically it made sense because like he's trying to weaken everyone, so
Right.
like nobody can gang up and beat him because he has no teammates, right?
And what I'm saying
Like
is
the
that was the
yeah
worst thing he did.
yeah I know, right? Like hell, freaking like most of the new writers have done much worse, and it's not even like they're evil or whatever. Like if we compare like Kusaka's dumbassery to like Hero's dumbassery from like X-Aid, right? Um, like okay, yeah, nothing happens that bad by the end. Kusaka's kind of a dick, but I'm like Hero's a dick to Emu also, right? Like not as much, but then again, like a freaking laser turned on him, sort of. Hero turned on him, like Snipe freaking wanted him dead, sort of, right? Whereas Kusaka is like, no, he's more of like a strategic villain. Like I don't really hate you too much. I mean, I guess he does, but like it's more that like you got in his way, so he's just gonna freaking outthink you or outplay you, right? Like the difference is like Kusaka is so much more villainous, or appears to be, because he's sort of like the how should I put it? He's like the TV type of villain kind of thing. I mean, like it happens in real life too, but it's like it's the perfect kind of villain for TV drama. Like he's like a survivor villain, all right? Where it's like he'll just outplay the game better than you. And like because you're the main character, it's gonna look like he's the villain because he's. But the thing is, like from his point of view, like you're both going after the same goal. Like do as well of a job as he did, and you'll win. I mean, he kind of has a screwed up, way of going about it, but like that's what makes him not the hero, right? Like if he had a good approach to it, then he'd be like he's infinitely better at fighting and basically everything else than like Tommy. But he's just going about his heroics the wrong way, and that's what makes him great. Whereas like I guess like most of the people, like a little too emotional, where they're like, "Oh, I dislike this guy," and then you don't realize like structurally he does like such a good job. It's the Evolve problem of like Evolve's really fun on screen, but he doesn't do anything structurally. That's why we bitch about it so much, right? When we do podcasts, because we like
Right.
analyze the damn episodes, whereas most people are like, "Oh, that was a fun episode. This Evolve, he's fun to see on screen."
But then you
You know?
think about it and it's like, what did he even do?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like Kusaka, like he's not fun to be around, but in the context of fights, he does a really good job of being like an antagonistic secondary writer. Plus, like the actors, they're great. Like Takumi and Kusaka's actors are fucking amazing. Plus, they still have like the Fies thing going. Like Fies is so old of a show, but like they still have so much love for it, or at least it seems like it, because like wherever you see like videos of these guys pop up, they're always like throwing in references to Fies, and like Kusaka's actor still celebrates like oh shit, what is it, like the five, I mean the Kaiser Henshin numbers, so it's like Kaiser Day, so that's
Right.
cool. um Anyway, yeah, like I was not expecting Kusaka to show up, and then he showed up, and I'm like, okay, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
Because like,
what does he have to do with these two high school students? How is he involved with that?
yeah, at first I was like, before like Takumi showed up, at first I'm like, what the fuck does this imply? Are you saying that like that high school student was like Kusaka? Because I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. Because we saw him in like high school,
Yeah, no.
or was it university? No, it was high school. Um, yeah, and like he wasn't like this at all. Like, to be fair, like, okay, you know what the funniest thing is, right? Like if Fies hadn't happened, Kusaka would have been like Forze. Like he is Gentaro if you go to his high school. Like he's good at everything. He's like captain of like 3, 4 teams. Like people look up to him. He's friendly, and all this Fi shit happens, and he kind of has like almost a breakdown. It's more like it's the secret past that he constantly tries to hide, and like when it shows up, he's like, okay, I have to deal with this as fast as I can. I don't have time to be a nice guy. It's kind of hilarious that he then shows up in a Forza episode, or kind of genius, I guess, depending on like how the next episode goes.
Uh, what did you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say like the only other thing is like, okay, if that kid's not Kusaka, is he Faiz or Takumi somehow?
I, I'm willing to bet that he is neither, and that the kid is just a random kid with magic powers.
I mean, the stream is paused and all that. Oh, now it's back, but whatever. It doesn't say stop, so I guess we'll just keep going. It might just be the preview messing up.
Uh, what did you think of the Forze suit? Uh, because for me, like, it's not bad and it kind of feels in the spirit of Forze, but it feels like the rockets, it has an excessive number of rockets. Like, I get that was the theme. You didn't see the X8 suit from last episode, but that one I had a problem with as well. Where, like, my problem with the last one was the arms, because they were this weird thing. At least with this Forze suit, the arms are just rockets, which is still in theme.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw like, oh, when you said Forza suit, I thought the monster suit, but the actual like armor form, yeah, I agree. A little too rocket heavy, but otherwise it's fine. Like then again, I'm not like the hugest Forza fan, so I wouldn't have a problem. Whereas like I haven't seen X8's like armored form, but like another X8, God, I hate that fucking suit. It's hideous. Because another build was great. Another X8 is trash. Another Forza was fucking awesome because like it's the mouth moves and like the eyes move. I'm like, all right,
Uh,
this suit was
it's
decent, and then it did that. I'm like, oh, it's so cool.
it is
It's such a small detail.
kind of unsettling actually because we're not used to seeing that in Toku.
I mean, it depends on which type of tokusatsu, but yeah, normally in Rider you don't see that. But I was like, oh, that's such a cool thing.
It
Plus, he's like overall, he looks like a good version of another
it,
Forze.
it
There's like
also
another XA looks shit. Okay, go ahead.
the eyes opening is reminiscent of when I first watched Agito and Gills opened his mouth.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I was. That's a good thing too. I mean, Gil screaming. Yeah, you're right. That's probably like. I guess we're so used to seeing it now. It's like, oh yeah, that happens. But like, if you're not, that's gonna be
Like
one
when I
hell of an
first got
interesting
into
thing.
Rider, I was not used to that at all, and I saw that and was like, "Whoa!" Ooh. Uh,
Yeah, listener. I mean, like, if you've never seen Agito, um, I mean, you're never gonna see that suit again ever. Because apparently it's destroyed, and that's why we keep getting Exceed Gills. And to be honest, Exceed Gills is a fucking not as good of a suit. Like it's just got too much shit going on. It doesn't look as nice. But look up Gills Henshin, or at least like his first Henshin or whatever, and see what we're talking about. Like Gills is an interesting thing.
uh,
I mean, if you want a real trip of random craziness, look up Kamen Rider Shin's Henshin. Um, yeah, Shin, the first '90s movies. I guess if you guys didn't know, he's that weirdo Bugman, super like monster-looking guy who just shows up on the Showa Rider side. That guy. Um, he is pretty interesting, and like his movie is interesting, but it's like the weirdest Rider movie of them all. Um, so yeah, actually, all the '90s movies are kind of weird, but like if you want to see some interesting experimental Rider shit, just watch the three Rider movies. So, what's it called? Like Shin Prologue. That's Shin's one. Uh, and then the other ones are just Rider names. So the next one is Kamen Rider Z. Yeah, Zo. And then the one after that is Kamen Rider J, also known as Kamen Rider, pretty much Kamen Rider Ultraman. That's okay. That's not even true because there was a Kamen Rider and Ultraman like crossover TV special thing where like Ichigo grew to be like Ultraman size, but
yeah,
like
but
that doesn't count.
yeah, that doesn't count. That was just a one-off special thing. Jay's whole gimmick was being an Ultraman.
Well, it wasn't. It's just that's his final power up. It's just whenever he shows up now, he has the giant
Oh,
gimmick. I mean, to be fair, like J and Zi-O, I mean Z-O's suits are so close together. I mean, like the reason is because the guy who made Garo did like made those movies, or at least did the character designs, and so like I think he did direct them, but like the point is he wanted to make them like Rider One and Rider Two of the new era, so he made their suits pretty similar. So I guess that's why you always see Jay in giant monster form now, because like otherwise, like what else does he have? You know, he's got like no gimmick otherwise. Um, yeah, I guess we've
speaking
gotten
of
enough
gimmick,
sidetrack.
I want to talk about how the Another Riders fight. Because you have another build who threw basketballs around, and that reflected the person he was born from. Like, okay, so there's relevancy in who was chosen there. And then in the final battle, he uses a best match. And I thought, okay, that's good. You got some build power in there. And then another X-Aid jumps in and out of video games, and that's about it, unfortunately. He doesn't really fight in any way that's actually reminiscent of X-Aid, which is pretty disappointing. But now you have another Forze, who is basically Forze, and it made me realize, like, why didn't they do this with the other two? Because he's using, like, the different switch powers, like, he straight up shoots missiles and such. This is what they should all be. They should just be that rider.
I mean, maybe going forward they will because like another Forza is what been active for like 7 years, so maybe he had more power. Maybe that's what they were going for. But yeah, I agree. Like, if you're gonna make like an alternate rider, freaking do another take on their power set. You know, don't just give them the look, because that's kind of boring. Because like you have the whole gimmick of like we're making alternate riders, pretty much. Like give them something unique. Otherwise, like what's the point? You know, they
Well,
could just be any generic monster. Why even go through
like,
this gimmick thing? Oh, speaking of which, Gates and like Zio's like I guess they're time machines or their bikes, right?
no.
Um,
Their time machines are different.
okay, yeah, you're right. Um, jumping through time, and they go through like the tunnel. I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Ryugi where they're like jumping to the mirror world. I'm like, that's a cool aesthetic for like going through time because like we did like the sort of Deno one, like
Yeah,
it'd be kind of boring if you keep using the same
it
type.
still has that Deno theme of like, oh, we have to go to the past to defeat the monster.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. But I'm like, at least it makes sense because like time powers. Uh, it's stupid that we even have any fights in modern day then. But I guess like how else would you know, right? Like that you're getting attacked by a time.
Yeah, they're going to still like save people, like when the monster is there. They just cannot defeat them, which is like a big line that's not normally there.
To be fair, like they're going back in time to save people anyway. Like their first victims, they really don't need to
Mm,
save like the people in the future. But I guess you're right. It would cut down on the heroics if they're like, okay, you know what they could have done? They could do this like Agito, where it's like they fail to save the future victim, but it gives them a clue to why the monsters, what the monster is going after, and then we go back in time and stop the
oh,
monster
that would
from
have
ever
been
being born.
something.
Yeah, that
So,
would have been cool. And then they go back in time. I mean, the life. So, you know, that would be interesting. But like again, that would be like one fight. But again, like old Showa, I mean not Showa, old Heisei shows used to be okay with just one ish fight an episode, or at least Agito was like I think mostly one fight an episode, and that worked. So it's like, why aren't you boring that formula?
alright.
I don't know.
Last thing I want to talk about tonight. When another Forza is defeated and he blows up like the monsters of the week tend to do, but instead his shell molts off as another Fize is revealed underneath. And that's one of the stingers that we leave off on. That was super good. Like, just the reveal that, oh, he is a second rider underneath, and like showing us the another Fi suit just standing there in the flames. Everything about that reveal was perfect.
Okay, we've stopped receiving data. It says.
Oh,
I mean, like it was buffering for a while, but at least we were getting data. Now it's saying we're getting no data. So,
I haven't
wait,
gotten the
maybe.
message that we're down yet.
Okay, I think we're back up. Yeah, we're back up. That was weird.
Hmm.
Freaking YouTube.
Okay.
Um.
Uh,
Anyway,
to
just repeat what you
yeah,
said.
to repeat what I said, the another Fi suit reveal after another Forze is defeated was done really well. With how the another Forze suit just melts off in the fire, and the another Fi suit is standing there underneath unscathed, and that's the stinger. And it sets up a lot for a lot of potential for future monsters being more than one rider as well.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty interesting. Maybe it's just because the third time jacker's ability is more advanced, so he has weird stuff like this. Because then again, he did say, "I'm gonna try an experiment,"
Oh,
so we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. That reveal was freaking awesome. Plus, like, and then Takumi shows up with long hair. Um,
long hair Takumi for life.
I know, right? Ah, I miss writers having long hair. Fuck you, Kabuto. You ruined it. Um, it's true. Like, watch, okay, Kuga to Blade, they all have long hair, and then like Kabuto happens, like everybody just has short hair afterwards. Um, I don't know. I kind of just miss long hair, but then again, like, it's so nice to see them like how they look kind of recreated. Also, like I was not expecting like Takumi to show up at the end because I thought it was something weird where it's like, oh, well, another Forza used to be that kid, but something happened, and then like Kusaka got his powers, and because Kusaka might have been Flies, he might have already been infected with the watch. So like he was already another Flies, and then he got the another Forza thing, and then so the original kid came back to like do something, and then it's revealed it's freaking Takumi. Like, holy shit, that's awesome. Um, but then again, like, then I started thinking, like, okay, so is that kid supposed to be like Kusaka? Because that's not
I
possible.
don't
Then,
think
like,
that kid is
wait, is that
supposed to be
kid's.
anyone.
I know, but then I'm like, oh, is that supposed to be Fi? I mean, Takumi? But then I'm like, that's super weird too. But then, like, maybe Takumi was taking care of that girl
Or
from
Kusaka
another
was.
Forza's from another Forza. Was like the guy who became another Forza. He was, defeated him and was taking care of her. Like I don't know. Or, anyway, like your thoughts on this, or like what's going on with that with the girl? Like I have some theory of what the hell, like why she was the victim or target. But like,
Like,
do you
it
have
seems
anything
like that
about all?
girl was dying, and the kid was healing her with his power, keeping her alive. Or at least that's what I thought at first. But they've been going through this for 7 years, and they haven't aged. So I'm wondering if he was using his power to like keep them young. And when that was running out and he became another Forze, now he's like stealing the life out of other girls to keep their youth, maybe? I have no idea how this
Okay, I
connects to
didn't.
Fies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I didn't think of the age thing, but that's an interesting point because, like, I thought, like, what happened is, like, yeah, as you said, like, he was healing her or she died. So, what I thought, okay, the way you described it kind of wrote in kind of like a wizard thing where it's like wizard and Koyomi thing going on. And I'm like,
Well,
wow,
yeah,
we've
that's a
tied
good
in
way
like
to put it.
yeah, we've tied in like four writers in this episode. Um, yeah, no, five because the potential Agito thing. Um, but that's cool. But I didn't think of it like that. I was like, yeah, he's either trying to heal her, but what I actually thought is more like she died, or yeah, I guess he was trying to heal her, or revive her, or whatever. And like these girls were responsible, so he's targeting them. But I'm like, yeah, what you said makes a little more sense because I'm like, he's been doing this for like 7 years, right? So it's more probably like a like Haruto and Koyomi thing going on. Um, I don't know. It's interesting. Because like I mean, if like if these characters were alternate versions of the Fi's characters, I could see her being like oh fuck, I just Yuka, is that her name from
Yuka
Fi's?
from Fies is, yeah, the Orphanok.
Yeah, like I was thinking it's like Yuka and Takumi because like they kind of had a thing as like oh like I don't know. It was a weird moment, but they kind of had like how should I
Takumi realized
describe
that
it?
Yuko
It was
wasn't.
like there was no romance. It was more just like they were both people who were busted and like broken, and they were both orphanacs, and they're like they've been through so much shit, and so they're like kind of looking out for each other, sort of. But they went two different routes where it's like uh, Takumi went to protect all humans kind of thing, and you go into like fuck the humans. I'm through with them pretty much. Um, yeah, so like I thought, oh, maybe it's like a weird version of that, but I'm like, that sounds more of like a decade plot than than this show's plot. So like I guess they're nobody, and there's so much nobody that we're throwing in so many theories. Also, this damn stream video keeps like
All right. Well,
buffering and unbuffering, but the stream's not going down. So like, hopefully the audio's there. Like again, it's just buffering. Whatever.
I
Let's just keep.
I'm done anyways. Like we can wrap this up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I had no interest in the show, and I'm like, I'll give it five, and then I was kind of struggling to get to five, but like
But then
the
Fies
build,
showed up.
and then five showed up. Yeah, I know it's great. To be honest, like Emu showing up at the end of three was, I'm like, oh, I want to watch four, and then I haven't seen four. Shit.
uh,
Plus, you said like it
y-
was super self-contained and wasn't that important anyway, so I'm like, oh, that sucks. But then you're right. Then Five showed up. I mean, like Kusaka showed up. That had me interested. And then Five showed up. I'm like, oh fuck! Now I have to watch the next. But again, the show has this problem of like we're like five episodes in, and it's like, okay, yeah, if Kusaka and Takumi weren't here, like, what would be the driving force to watch this show? It's just mediocre. Like, it's not bad. It's just there's nothing, right? Like I was watching like I mean it could be just because like it's my favorite freaking I've seen like only a couple episodes of original writer, read like 14 or so. But like episode 2 is still my favorite of that early run because it's basically like you could make a movie of this episode by itself, right? And
right.
like earlier shows used to have like, oh shit, I want to see what's going on with this world or these characters or this episode has so much by itself that I want to watch it. Whereas this show, it's like, yeah, it exists, you know.
The
Um,
show is still
it's
like
like,
setting up its rules and such, and it's like establishing a formula for itself. That it,
yeah,
I imagine it's going to break later on because they at this rate they're not going to have enough Heisei riders to last half the show, and we don't know if they're tapping into Showa riders because it's kind of a Heisei tribute.
yeah. I mean, they probably will, but whatever. If they don't, it's fine. To be honest, like I don't want the whole damn show to be cameos. The show, like as cool as that is, like the whole problem with the show is like, right, it's just like five episodes of cameos, right? But
Yeah,
there's nothing interesting about Zio's plot besides the cameos. And
and
I'm like, well, you can say that's the main story, but I'm like, okay, what happens once the cameos run out?
my one of my problems with the X8 episodes is that Hero did nothing and didn't need to be there. Emu did two things that were in character and were pretty good, but ultimately he didn't contribute that much either. And I'm my concern is that that's going to be the thing going forward is that the veteran riders can't do anything or just don't do anything. They have their one moment and then it's off the camera's off them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does make sense because you don't want to structure like because the other way is like, okay, you're writing an episode of another writer show,
Yeah, I totally get
and
it.
then it
This
just
is
becomes
not their
and then it becomes
show.
an anthology show.
Their
Yeah,
show is over. This is about the new riders. We need to see what they're doing. I totally get it. The problem is that the veteran riders shouldn't feel unnecessary to the episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and my other problem is like, okay, fine. If you're just gonna have give the old guys cameos, you better be enough of your own writer to make like to make it feel like a crossover, right? Whereas like late the shows just feels like okay, the plot happens, these idiots run around in the plot, and then the cameo writers show up. They, elevate the hell out of this episode if you have nostalgia for these guys. Otherwise, it's just another episode. Right? It's like it's not bad. It's just the definition of like middle of the road. Okay, it's not like a five. I'd give it like a six or maybe a seven, like
It
6.5 maybe.
it could be that these early episodes were a little rough, and that as we go forward, the veteran writers are going to be a bit more prevalent, because I think that Takumi and Kusaka are going to be more relevant in the next episode for their own little story being involved here. So I think that going forward, we might actually get some more meaning to the veteran writers showing up.
My problem still is that like how should I describe? Like I don't want okay, like as much as like Drago likes build, like I don't like it that much. Like it's okay, to be fair, build is still better than this at the moment. Like I enjoy the cameos. But like I realize that like my enjoyment of the episode is because they have those cameos in them. Like replace it. Like here's the thing: if Gentaro would have shown up in this episode, I wouldn't have given a shit because I haven't seen Forze. I'm not interested in watching Forze, right? So like if
Take
his
the
writer showed up,
Takumi and
like or
Kusasa
Meteor,
reveal out of the end, and this would have been a mediocre episode to you.
no, it's an okay episode. It's just like okay, this is like crossovers the show, but Zi-O hasn't done anything to make me know what his personality is. Right? Like he hasn't won any victories. He's not a writer that does anything himself. Like here's the thing: for all his annoying and like up his own ass as Tsukasa from like Decade, you knew his personality.
Yeah,
He had a character.
Zi-O is annoying because his whole personality is I'm gonna be a king someday.
I know, and it's like there's nothing there. Like, what am I supposed to do with you, kid? Like, it's not even like the okay. It's yeah. Here's the problem, right? Forze, I don't like because it was an anniversary show. Let's talk about the anniversaries, right? So that's Kabuto, Decade, and Forze in this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Kabuto is pompous because he thinks he knows his destiny, right? Sukasa is kind of a stuck-up idiot, but that's because like he's basically the villain who just lost his memory, right? Like it makes sense because like that's what his personality would have been. It's just the villain became the good guy, um, right? Like Forze is a nice guy, and like I guess they wanted to do something different where like the previous anniversaries were like kind of hostile writers as the main lead. So they made
J-
like this really nice friendly dude,
Japan
and I'm
was
like,
also
that's
going through a
cool.
rough time, and so they wanted to promote friendship and getting
Yeah,
along.
that is a good point. I mean, and the one problem with that is like at least Forze was a character. Like here's the thing: if Zi-O was Forze, it would make so much more. Or like if Gentaro was Zi-O, I guess
Right, like I'm
it
gonna
would be so much
befriend
better.
all the riders. Here, he can do
Yeah,
it.
right. Like he can do it. He can actually be a good guy. Like he's a force of nature. This like dude who's so nice. Like you can't hate him pretty much, right? Um, and like he would be in a show. And I think what happened is Forza kind of failed or wasn't as great, and so we don't get nice writers. Whereas like Zio is kind of like a mix of like the three different anniversary riders where it's like, okay, you've got like the weirdo prophecy destiny shit from Kabuto and like alternate history thing from Kabuto. I mean like Deno too, but like Kabuto sort of had that too later on. Um, and then yeah, you have like alternate worlds from Decade. But then you have kind of like a friendly guy as your lead, but not as insanely friendly as Gentaro. So it's like you try to cram in all the things, but then like what did you make? Right? Like
uh,
as much as Saracenian complains about like, oh, I don't like Shinji or Edgy or well not whatever. The point is like anything written by I remember nobody's name. The
who?
person who wrote like Ryuki and Deno and O's and Amazon's her, right? Like whereas like her main characters tend to be boring because they're kind of like thesis statements on the show as opposed to being characters too much. Um, for the most part, and it's more like they have an impact on their surrounding characters as instead of just being character arcs onto themselves too much. So like, yeah, they kind of come off as boring starting off. Or I guess he had a problem with Emu too, them being too nice. Like, I never had a problem with those characters. I have a problem with Zi-O because like he's nothing, right? Like he's generic good guy,
Yeah,
right? Who inherits the powers. Like he has no personality. He has no battle cred. He's just good because he's supposed to be.
so here's what Zi-O is. Generic good guy becomes the title rider. Ren starts following him around, and Mari is also there.
Oh my god. You know what? That's true. That is so true. Holy shit. No wonder the other two are slightly more interesting, but then again, like you just described, they're literally copies of two other characters.
Like, okay, in one of the Exit episodes, Emu straight up calls Gaze like, "Hey, you're kind of like Hero," but he is actually more like Ren.
Yeah, to be fair, Emu's never met Ren, so he doesn't know, but yeah, he's right. Uh, like, I can kind of give Gates a pass because, like, clearly he has backstory, and either that's going to be shown later on in the show or we've done the stupid thing and Pelle's done the stupid thing and pulled it out of the show and given it in his mini clips, which I'm like, all right, that sucks, but like he's a secondary, it's fine. Tsukiyomi is sort of kind of there, and she's just kind of like like Mari or Hana. They're kind of there just to keep the other two idiots from killing each other. Um, and like being the level-headed one, sort of. So I'm like, okay, it's fine. You have a character. Whereas like Zi-O is like he's nothing. Like I think the problem is like he hasn't won a fight, right? And it's like unless we have one of that Blade scene where it's like the undead show up and they're like, look at you, man. You're not a hero. You're nothing. You can't even do anything without our power.
Like,
And Blade's like, oh yeah, you think all that shit, and he just like kicks the monster's ass in basic Blade form.
Blade is
Um,
the best rider.
I mean, like fight wise, yeah, he's freaking great. I mean, okay, it's weird. Like Tendo technically probably is the most skilled. Uh,
Fuck Tendo
it
though.
Yeah, I know. I don't like to give it to Tendo. It's just Tendo is really good at fighting. Okay, here's the thing. Tendo's really good at fighting. Fize is really good at kind of surviving through so much shit. Um, uh, Decade and Wizard are just really good. Like versatility wise, Decade. Wizard has versatility and is a good fighter, but I'm like, I have a huge bias towards Wizard, so I can't give him the win because I'm like, I don't know if I'm actually crowning him number one, or is it because I just like him, or is it because like we just don't like Tendo? But like in a straight up fight, like the thing is, Tendo's really fucking good at fighting. Like that is his one thing. Like if he sucked ass, like everybody would hate it. But the thing is, like he's super good at fighting. Um, Whereas like Zio's like I got nothing, you know.
Yeah, when I was making that comparison, I was straining my brain to try and think of another character to compare Zi-O to, and I couldn't because he's just bland and generic.
And I know we could say like, oh well, it's the starting episodes. It's only like 5 episodes. You'd give it time. I'm like, why? You know,
Other
like every other.
writers like are
Yeah.
established personalities first 2 episodes. Shinji, the first thing he does in Ryuki is get into a street fight with a guy that he crashed his motorcycle into.
Okay, that's not what happened.
No,
What
but
happened is uh, he gets into a yelling match because like this driver hit another person and he was just a bystander. But I know what you're talking about. You're talking about that scene from the cafe, but that's a little later.
no. I'm talking
Um,
about it was like maybe I'm actually am really misremembering it, but I remember him like being late for his first day of work.
yeah. He's late, and then his boss is like, "So what happened? Did you get into an accident, a fight?" And he's like, "Nah, I saw this accident. I was fighting it. Like you dumbass, you didn't even get into an accident. You were just a bystander, and you're just like mouthing off this guy." So he almost gets into a fight, but it
Yeah,
looks like he got into an accident and was ready to throw down. So like at least you get his personality right off the bat, which is like he tries to help, but is kind of a dumbass. But like his heart's in the right place, and that's like Shinji's
and
thing
that gets
throughout.
carried
But
throughout the
like
whole show.
yeah, and I get what they're trying to do with Zio is like he's competent, like only if he applied himself. You know, he's dead set on this king thing. He's kind of a good guy, but I'm like that is like the most generic garbage writing. And I'm like, he's not bad. It's just like okay, like Blade's beginning is kind of bad. Like the first 5 episodes of Kiva are bad, but they at least like the show has its own personality. Like take away the cameos, what does Zio have? Right? Like Decade, if you took away like the things that other writers showed up and we had alternate versions of those guys, that Sukasa and like everybody else still had personality, and they still had their own thing going on. Whereas Zio is like generic good guy, and I'm like, yeah, I see what's gonna happen. It's like, all right, arc two or like or maybe like halfway through the show or something. Then we'll start getting into real plot. I'm like, that is a long ass fucking time
Oh
to
God,
get to establish your own
I
character for your show.
not another Akatsuki go, please.
Oh god. I mean, to be fair, there was other shit going on in that show
Yeah,
besides the Akatsuki.
but
Um,
my point is that it was a long wait and a huge build up for nothing.
okay, you know what? Like Deno, I haven't seen Deno. Have you seen it?
Yes, I can tell you what you need to know about Deno.
Yeah. So my thing with Deno is like, okay, I know he's like the most unluckiest person around, I guess, or
Yeah,
ever. He's a
he's just
singularity. But the point,
super unlucky.
but the point is, it's yeah, it's a time travel show, right? So it's basically got this plot structure in
Um,
5 episodes. How much more into like Deno's character were we compared to Zio?
all right, so episode 1 of Deno, uh, he gets beat up by a bunch of street thugs and has his wallet stolen or something.
Okay, I saw that part. I've seen like yeah, maybe a little bit of the first episode, but yeah, you're right. That does happen.
And then he finds the Deno changer by accident, and the girl follows him on the train because she's trying to get it back. And then when the monsters start possessing people, Momotaro possesses Ryotaro, uh, and the girl is like, "Oh, you need to fight the other monsters," and he transforms and he fucking doesn't know how to fight, and he's getting his ass kicked while Momotaros is yelling at him that he doesn't know how to fight. And
Okay, so I
that
didn't get to that part, but that does sound like what Hannah would do.
right.
Because like her characterization, I guess even in movies and stuff, is like she's super no nonsense, even though they changed the actors. Um, Whatever. Like the characterization is always the same.
And then
Whereas she's like she puts up in nobody's bullshit.
he figures out how to let Momotaros possess him while transformed to fight for him. And Momotaros is like, you know what? I don't care who I'm fighting. I just want to fight someone. And then it immediately gets into like the structure of the people being possessed have some sort of big regret in their past. And so whenever Deno goes in the past, after the Imagine defeats the monster, Ryotaro goes out of his way to fix their regret. Like the first guy, he didn't visit his mother on Christmas Eve when she ended up dying in the hospital, and he super felt bad because he wasn't there. Ryotaro goes out, finds him, and is like, "Dude, you need to get to the hospital right fucking now."
Okay, that sounds way. I mean, okay, to be fair, like Dano's not really my type of show, but as plot wise, that sounds like what the fuck this show should be. You know, because like it would solve our problem of like why are we getting into stupid ass fights in the first point where we can't do anything, like we can't beat the monsters. But if it's like what you said, like if they had regret, I know then you'd complain, well, we're just rehashing Deno formula. I'm like, we're rehashing all the formula. Who cares? Freaking use it if we have to. Um, yeah, if it was something like, oh, like what I said, do the Agito thing of like person future dies, you find out the pattern, you go back in time, make sure monster is defeated, therefore person's alive. Or you do the Deno thing, like you said, which is like, oh, these people are being targeted for a specific thing. You figure out who this person is, you figure out why they would be targeted, and then you go back in time, you make sure that person becomes a better human being so they can't be targeted. You know? So it's like that would also make Zi-O way more proactive because it's like, okay, you can see the good and the bad, where it's like, you could see, oh, he's a good guy doing good shit, but like you could see how later down the line it went to his head, where he's like, he just thinks he's like some kind of god or whatever, and he can just fuck with like anybody's timeline and determine their future, kind of thing. But
Right.
like that would require Zi-O to be kind of more of like, I can't say believe I'm saying this, more Sukasa ish, where he's more, I mean, not like super much. Actually, he should be more like Kusaka, where he's this guy who's really good at just playing people. So he would, do the Deno thing except not be a good guy, where he just like outplays you and uses mind games into getting you to do the right thing. Um, and then you could really see where it's like, yeah, he's doing the right thing now, but if you wanted to become evil, you could see it happen, and that would at least give him personality. Like imagine if oh, what's a good example, like if you fuse like Kusaka with like um oh shit, who's Takumi from Build,
Right.
right? Where he's not the nicest dude, but he's super smart, and like Kusaka's ability to just like you know feed people lies to get them to do what he wants. But he was kind of doing the Deno thing of like helping people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I want to point out that Ryotaro helping those people with their regrets didn't change anything. Uh, like,
What?
like, yeah, they wouldn't have those regrets anymore. but they would still be in their their lives wouldn't be any different from it. Like the monster attack would still happen. So he was
Oh,
going
that's
out of his
weird.
he was literally only going out of his way to make that person feel better because it had no bearing on the actual future. Nothing would change except that one regret that person had would be gone.
Th- Okay, that show falls apart then, but whatever. Um, okay, then
Like
I guess if Zio.
it was supposed to show that like Ryotaro was that good of a person that he would go out of his way to help people with their problems. Because again, these are the biggest for each person. It's their biggest regret that he's helping them with.
Okay, I mean, I was thinking it'd be more like kind of like a wizard situation where it's like you find what their weakness is and then you hope the monster doesn't exploit it, sort of thing. And so, like, if Zio was kind of doing that, it would kind of like cancel out the future, right? Where it's like he would kind of how should I describe? Like, if Zio's personality instead of being a high schooler, if he was like a con man, right? Like a good con man, like a con man type of character, but he's trying to be a good guy, you know. And then so he would like con people into doing the right thing, and that would change the future, right? Like, imagine how much more interesting this damn show would be instead of this. Like, the show isn't bad; it's just generic.
All right. I've said all that I want to. Eh.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody. This was an okay episode made better by veteran actors appearing. Ultimately, uh, the without them, the best part would have been the another Forze, the way he fights. Uh, Still, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next week. So we'll be back next Tuesday with more Sentai, and next Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Zi-O. See you next time.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Sorry for the late start, but I guess probably nobody's watching live. Or I guess we did have a connection, but whatever. Anyway, sorry for our rambling and disconnection and whatnot, but hopefully you enjoyed this episode. As for me, yeah, it was a okay episode. Again, like the cameos made it a lot better. Hopefully the next episode's good. Hopefully the one after that, Zio actually gets some damn character. I mean, like actual character and not generic good guy character because that's kind of boring. But otherwise, see you guys next time.